Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of GT History, the video series where I'll talk about some of the craziest moments of the most capitalist MMO out there, Growtopia. Moderators are a very special part of Growtopia, and you can't imagine the game without them. Moderators are the police of Growtopia. They ban scammers, rule breakers, etc. And without them, Growtopia would be unplayable. So what if I told you that there was a time when there were no moderators in Growtopia at all? No one who could ban scammers or that you could message and beg to sign your board. Yeah, I've been there. As you know from my previous video, Growtopia launched in November of 2012, and it was made by the two indie developers nicknamed Seth and Hamumu. Growtopia wasn't their first game, but they definitely didn't imagine it to become as popular as it did, which is why they didn't even implement a moderator role into the game when it launched. This would become a huge problem though, because as the game grew and more players started playing Growtopia, there was also an increasing amount of scammers and bad actors joining Growtopia. Since there wasn't even a trade system implemented back in the day, scams were getting more and more popular, and nobody was there to punish them. But then, in December of 2012, there suddenly appeared a mysterious player called Heroman. Heroman had an orange name, just like the developers Seth and Hamumu. But instead of hanging out with players like Seth and Hamumu did, he went on to find and punish every scammer in Growtopia. He wore a red cape called Heroman's cape, which looked just like Superman's red cape from the movies. And like Superman, scammers knew they had a problem when they saw Heroman. But something was weird about Heroman. He sometimes punished players differently, although they did the same thing as somebody else. For instance, one player who admitted to have scammed 5 other players never got banned from the game and bragged about it on the forums, which then Hamumu went on to say he could fix that for him, and in other cases, scammers were getting banned within seconds. As it turned out, Heroman was an account shared by Seth, Hamumu, and Hamumu's wife Solarian to moderate the game. When they had time, they logged onto the account and tried to serve justice. But as they didn't have any rules on how to moderate the game, each of them would punish players differently, which explains why Heroman didn't act consistent. They also used the accounts called Heroman's Dad and Satan to moderate the game. But as the player numbers kept growing, they needed another solution. And that's why Seth started working on a moderating system. In January of 2013, the moderator system was making progress, and they would soon be able to choose the first moderators. But who would that be? The moderator role was very powerful, so powerful that if a moderator abused his power, he could threaten the whole game. Luckily though, Seth has already gotten some experience running a multiplayer game with his previous title Tanked. Tanked was a 3D online multiplayer tank combat game where players could play against each other online in lobbies. Those lobbies sometimes got really toxic, and that's why he had a team of moderators helping him to keep it family friendly. And by coincidence, 3 of his moderators were also playing his new game Growtopia. Before the moderator system was even implemented into the game, Seth was already telling them that it was soon going to be added to the game and that he would like them to be the first moderators. On January 30th of 2013, the moderator system was ready, and the former Tanked moderators were made moderators in Growtopia. The first one went by the name Greaser Locke in Tanked and became well known as Lockster in Growtopia. When Growtopians saw his purple name and his superpowers, they couldn't believe their eyes. Trust me, when Lockster was around, you better pick up your girlfriend and run as far away as you can. But jokes aside, Lockster was a very helpful moderator. He was friendly, and you probably also heard his name from my previous video on Ruby, the first millionaire in Growtopia, and how he took care of her expensive collection while she took a break over 2 years. When he became a mod, he didn't have his unique moderator item yet, but more on that later. The second player to become a moderator that day is called Play, and he was also a former Tanked mod. Just like Lockster, he instantly became a superstar, since he didn't ignore players and actually punished scammers. The third player to become one of the first moderators was called Seal. And if you are an OG, you definitely know him from the word Sea Diary, which he is the owner of. Sea Diary was the first wiki word in Growtopia, when there were no resources available online to look up splicing recipes. Sea Diary then became a very popular trading word where all the pros traded in. But when hackers such as amateurs started getting popular, the word took a hit because there was nobody to ban any spammers or flying noobs, which is why the word lost its popularity. So those were the first moderators. But what about the first actual player who wasn't a tank mod before to become a moderator in Growtopia? Here comes... Okay, but for real. Her in-game name was Meow, and her real name is Marosa Mini. Meow was a super popular player in the early days of Growtopia, since she built and owned the world called Items, which basically displayed every item there was in the game. The world exists in Growtopia to this day and is still owned by her, so you can go and check it out yourself. But now let's get to the interesting part. What about the moderator items? How did they get them? And who made them? Since the first moderators were doing such a good job policing the game, the developers wanted to thank their moderators for doing such a good job, and Heroman decided to design a special item for each of them. So he asked each of them what their dream item would be. And in April of 2013, the first of them received their custom-made item. It was Meow who received the first moderator item, called Meow's Ears. A shiny hair item that made everybody jealous, because only she was the one who owned it. Play was the next one to get his item. He got his Play Wings. And back then, those were the first wings without an animation added to the game. You could say it's a design decision, or Heroman actually cheaped out on him. But either way, they look really cool. The fourth mod to get his moderator item was Lobster. He got his greasy looking lobster hair, which looks like the haircut of Elvis Presley, a famous rock star. I think I don't have to mention it, but not only the girls loved his haircut. No homo. But what are the first moderators doing nowadays? Are they still playing the game, or are they secretly policing? As cool as that would be, sadly, each of them already quit the game. Some sooner and some later. And that is also the reason why two of those moderator items are available in the Growtoken store for you to purchase if you're rich enough. Over the years, many moderators have joined and left the team. The list is very long. But what's also changed is how players are getting chosen to become a moderator. While at first the developers opened moderator applications and chose players based on their applications, with more players joining the game, that too was getting impossible. So they closed the applications and decided to choose players who stood out in the community. When Ubisoft took over Growtopia, they introduced a new role called Guardians. Guardians are basically less powerful than mods, and they have no superpowers or purple name, but they try to help players and support the moderators. If a Guardian then does a good job, he has the chance to become a moderator himself in the future. Up until recently, the Guardian application was still open and everybody had a chance to apply. Did you apply to become a Guardian? Or would you even want to be a moderator in the most capitalist MMO out there? Let me know down below in the comments. Trust me, I read them. Anyways, that's it from my side. If you like content like this video, don't forget to check out my channel and subscribe. That's it, peace out.